How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lone Wolf, and today I'm going to go and do a mission on Big Salmon Peak called Tools for the Warehouse. So I'm going to follow the main road up, cut off, go up to the top of the mountain, grab like a maintenance trailer, double back on myself, cut off the main road where you find like the forklift, and then yeah, I've got to kind of go up another mountain past where one of the watchtowers is, and drop it off. So originally, I'm going to do this mission in the end with the P16 because it's pretty fun. I did want to try this out just because it is one of the newer trucks, and yeah, trying out a few different missions with it. But as you can see, as soon as I turned off the road, in like an inch of snow, it was pretty horrifically bad with the mud. There was little sections where it got a little bit more of speed, but even then when it did, I believe, yeah, it keeps doing the thing where it's jumping from second gear back to first. So originally I recovered, and I went back with the chained, but again, they're not the chain muds of the, whatever they are, not the chain muds. I tried to do me a little trick flinging myself around the lamppost, because this thing just understeers like a nutcase, so I tried to do it, but somehow I tipped the opposite way. Normally you kind of tip outwards, but yeah, that kind of tipped me inwards. Again, fortunately, had a goddamn horse or a vehicle sat nearby, so he went in for the rescue. That is again one of many reasons why you get yourself a goddamn horse. Yeah, so like I said, in the end I was just kind of like, nah, I'll go back and I'll get the P16, because yeah, there's still one of the more realistic trucks in this game. But this is just to show you again, I am trying to get various different gameplay with some of the newer stuff, but it's a bit awkward to get it with the forklift and the Cat 770G anyway. This was kind of one of the last hopes, and yeah, for whatever reason it's just horrifically slow even here again, so I finally got bored. I was like, nope, I can't do it anymore. Because again, I'm only about like 5 truck lengths into this road, and I've got to go all the way at the top of the mountain, and I was just like, yeah, that's not going to happen. You can sit by the tree, go and grab myself this beast. And yeah, this is definitely, it's always been one of my more favourite trucks, to be honest, but the fact that it still feels and behaves pretty realistically. Why did I did have the loaf. Oh, them cargo containers came out of nowhere, officer. I did have the loaf on the back of this. For some reason I recovered. Oh yeah, I know why. It's because I bought another P16 and this one was stock, so I recovered, put a proper gear, like the advanced special gearbox, the better engine and that, and then yeah, the loaf was just floating in the air, even when I drove past it. So I thought, sod it, it's a sign, I'll reverse up, I'll grab him, see, he's goddamn professional, he's on there with no troubles. Every goddamn time I leave it in reverse. Yeah, one thing, if you are going to do this, I mean, again, I just wear him like a backpack and we're off. I've now got P16 with extra fuel and recovery points and all the rest of it, and a spare winch, just in case the need should arise. And yeah, I was going to say though, with the P16, best horn in the game, if you stick the saddle high, whatever the bloody hell I call it in this game, yeah, the loaf just sits on that really well, even though I'm like using the winch and I'm hoovered up to the back of the P16. I could disconnect the winch now and the loaf would stay on pretty well, but once I've attached the winch, obviously there's no point. I may as well just leave it connected until if I need the winch, I'll use it. Also, while I was doing this video, I was having a little read up on the SnowRunner forums earlier, so I wouldn't go as far as to say this is like a full-on latest news update. Well, it is, but it's kind of more the lack of news is the bigger update than the news. I mean, for a start, they posted a message, is it Jellyfoosh or something, I don't know. I believe that's one of the, like, the devs, or at least some guy on the team anyway, that seems to be announcing things. Not very snappy and forthcoming about some of it, but yeah, they've mentioned a few of the bugs. They're kind of waiting on patches, but a lot of people are asking. There's a few little rumours. Someone was saying that the update is already ready. Like, I believe, for example, those cabin missions that you got to do, some on Big Salmon Peak, some on Flooded Foothills, where you got like 10 or 15 cabins that you've got to take. I believe that is an actual bug. They're not supposed to be 10 or 15 cabins. I believe they're supposed to be between 1 and 3 cabins, which sort of does make sense, because I've not really tried the mission for multiple reasons, and I'd recommend, if you haven't yourself yet, I'd probably give it a miss for now, because quite a lot of people have been having bugs on that mission, and as I've said before, apparently if you remove some of the cabins, for those that you might have been caught in this bug where you can't scroll down like your menu or something and change trucks and stuff, if you remove the cabins it could fix it. But recently 1 or 2 people have said they've had the bug reappear for them kind of after they've completed the mission, so I don't believe they've got any cabins left to remove, and they was asking me like, what can I do? Which I was like, I don't really know, like maybe make another cabin, go back to the area, drop it in, remove it and see if that works. But yeah, that's why I'm just steering clear of the missions, because I'd be pretty disappointed if, like, by now it glitched my game and I had to just essentially start a new game. Yeah, because if that's going to crash it. Again, though, they're not really... They've mentioned that that's going to be on the way, but they've not given us, like, an estimated date or anything like that when that's going to happen. Apparently, like I said, as far as rumours go, somebody said they have apparently already got the update, but they didn't get it cleared in time. You hear about this, like, getting it cleared for consoles or certified or something. And yeah, that's not definite fact, but to be honest, when you read on the forums, like I said, the guy who's actually giving us this info is very sparse with the info, and then you get other people chipping in, and it's like, if they're not going to correct people, or if they're not going to give us any info of their own, then, well, what's here to do other than kind of hear the general things other people are putting out that they've heard and so on. So yeah, maybe they've missed, like, the deadline to get it certified or something, it might have knocked it back a week, so it seems for now, like, at some point I would like to live stream one of those bigger missions. But yeah, the thought of making 15 cabins and just doing runs back and forth to the sawmill and all that, one seems a bit repetitive anyway, but yeah, I believe it certainly is a bug, because as some people pointed out, one of the areas that you got to put the cabins, you can't even fit, I think, 15 cabins in that zone or whatever, so clearly it wasn't ever supposed to be that many. And as somebody else pointed out, when they've obviously made these two maps with, like, limited resources, that's the worst time to now that you got to build 15 cabins, which I believe, I assume, need like 30 wooden planks and 15 cargo containers or whatever. That's quite a lot of sourcing materials. It's not the end of the world, it's just one I'm more worried about the bug than doing 15 cabins. 15 cabins will bore me a bit, if I'm honest, but yeah, I don't want my game to crash and then I have to reset it and all that. So that's the news as far as that goes. There appears to be as well, other people are sort of confirming that the terrain's, like, some kind of extra resistance stats seem to be over the top on this. There's various people commenting that they've got different patches and mods for their tyres. I assume obviously they're on PC and stuff, but they said they've still got the same tyre mods since this update, so they said it's not really the tyres that have been nerfed, it seems to be, yeah, some extra mechanics on top of it, which is why even this, to be honest, the P16, that's one of the reasons I still do enjoy it on this game a lot, because it feels like it has realistic weight. The grip is pretty decent on it. I believe the tyre stats, which I wouldn't say I swear by the tyre stats, but there is a few unique vehicles in this game that seem to have sort of custom tyre stats that I would say overall the gut feeling seems to be similar. This is apparently more like 3.5 or something, whereas I think a lot of tyres are nearer 2. Yeah, that apparently the Tatrin tyres are like 13.5 or something crazy, but that kind of does make sense, because there is a lot of situations where the Tatrin does just dig in and motor along. I have to say though, I was driving the Tatrin earlier on this map. Yeah, I was on flooded foothills, and I was driving down one of the rivers, and I was actually going with the current as well, so it should have been pretty easy. And I ended up getting the Tatrin stuck on a couple of rocks that really weren't that big at all. And like I said, even with a current going with me, I couldn't get off them, I couldn't go further down the river, I got stuck. I wasn't really going anywhere in particular, I was kind of just driving around with the Tatrin to see how well it was doing. But yeah, even that's feeling it in this map, so there seems to be, say, like with the coding, it kind of executes commands essentially. I don't really know a hell of a lot about coding, but I like kind of get the general principle of it. So after it's gone through the tyre mechanics and all the rest of it, it kind of factors everything in and you get an end result. It feels like at the end of that, once it's calculated the end result, they've then just said, right, now reduce it by another 10% or 20% or something. Yeah, just with engines feeling underpowered and stuff. I still think as well, like with the whole clutch situation, that I've seen a few people mention that. I will get to replying to comments and stuff. My brother was over earlier, so I've been chatting to him for half the night, so I was kind of a bit delayed on stuff. I did want to do the trial, well, in fact, either one of the trials this weekend, but I went on them yesterday and earlier, and yeah, they're more snowy maps, which I was like, Jesus Christ, I wouldn't mind getting off a bit of snow. I mean, since we've had the bonus maps, you've had Lake Cobden and Mandra that are basically just pure snow, and then yeah, flooded foothills and Big Salmon Peak. Big Salmon Peak is, I'd say, a good 75-85% snow, And then Flooded Foothills is 50-50. It's just that they've gone all crazy with this super mud on Flooded Foothills, so it's about as bad as the snow. And then, yeah, as far as mods go as well, again, kind of a semi-update, but you're talking like lack of news is the news, that they've confirmed that mods for consoles are on the way. They've said how they're going to kind of select and get that started. Essentially, what they're saying is we'll get like Mod.io or whatever, and they'll start adding mods to consoles of various trucks that I believe, like, the more popular they are on Mod.io, the better, like, the sooner they'll get added to consoles. So instead of getting like one big bulk list of mods, we're probably going to get, I don't know whether it'll be one at a time or it might be, you know, 2, 3, 4 at a time, but it seems like it's going to be a list that they're going to continuously add to it. I believe they have to, like, select the truck and then obviously certify it or something for consoles. I assume they probably have to make sure that it works with the same coding. They might have to change the files or whatever. I heard something about that to make it work on consoles. So they're kind of going to do it on a truck by truck basis, I suppose. I don't really mind that as long as we actually get some mods pretty soon, even if I get a couple of trucks to start with. Yeah, mods are the big thing I'm kind of banking on with this game now. If mods weren't even a possibility of arriving for console, I'd be, yeah, about at the end of my life on this game, really. I'd kind of get on to something else. I'd probably come back for the DLC and stuff, but yeah, mods is going to be a biggie, because if you get even like 4 new trucks added, or like as in a reasonable time frame, that's like, well, not only 4 new trucks to use, but hopefully they're going to be at least the higher end of the scale of trucks in this game, that I'm assuming / hoping they're going to be competing with stuff like the Taiga, the Vorongred, the Dolphin and stuff. I don't really need another Taz, as much as it's fun when you go flying down like the runway and stuff in different roads, but it's pretty terrible. It was too light to do off-road and all that, so yeah, any useless trucks, they're not really going to be any good. At least if they are doing the most popular trucks first on Mod.io, we're hopefully going to get some, like I said, not super overpowered, that's not really what I'm looking for, but I'm definitely, by now, the fact that they seem to have extra nerfed this map as far as like being able to drive across it and how fast you can go and stuff. Yeah, by this point in the game, I don't really need or care about the challenge anymore. They've kind of made the challenge a bit boring in a way by nerfing a lot of the stuff, so I just want to enjoy the game now and enjoy delivering my cargo. I don't really need the same challenge of I'm going 1 mile an hour everywhere, because even looking at doing a few different missions tonight, I mean, the reason I ended up taking this P16, it certainly isn't the fastest vehicle in the game, or even close, but the fact that it kind of, yeah, feels relatively realistic. There's something I do like in this game about the bigger vehicles in general. I wish they'd had more. At least the Bandit is on the right scheme of things compared to stuff like the Warthog and the TEZ were pretty small. The Cat 770G, to be honest, if they gave it all-wheel drive, it'd probably be a pretty cool truck. I just find at the minute, particularly with that slow steering, the fact that it does the opposite lock a bit before it turns the way you want it to go, and the fact that, yeah, if you're bumping around on rocks and stuff, because you've got no power going to the front wheels, they don't steer you in the direction. It can understeer quite a bit and just bounce forward because there's not actually anything biting in. This can suffer from the same problem, to be honest. Not always. I did hear that they might possibly be adding all-wheel drive to this for Phase 3, which will be interesting. I don't know if that's true, so take that with a pinch of salt kind of thing, but before this newest update came out, I was kind of like, well, I don't know. I mean, I've always said I'd still like the option of this with all-wheel drive, but I don't, or didn't think it particularly needed it. Now, I'd still say it doesn't need it, but again, it'd just be nice. It'd be an interesting mix, because you'd have power going to the front wheels when you're steering and that, they'd, you know, bite in better. They actually pulling in the direction that you actually want to travel. So yeah, I believe that's about everything kind of up to date as far as the news, or yeah, of what's going on with this game. Like I said, kind of, well, not really no news is good news, but lack of news is the news. That they've confirmed it's on its way, but yeah, they're not very good, I'll admit. As far as responding to questions and stuff, they're not very on it. Even if they give us a rough date, I'd rather they give us like, oh, okay, it's going to be 2 weeks. If it ended up being a little bit later than 2 weeks, whatever. But when they don't give us any date, it's like, well, I don't know. It could be tomorrow. It could be 2 months from now. So, yeah, they could do with improving the frequency with which they actually let us know some information. It is a little bit of a joke at the minute. Anyway, speaking of jokes, what we got? I know. I don't know if this will translate to everyone. As I've said before, the Welsh, they apparently do enjoy the odd sheep from time to time. But anyway, well, this has even got Eskimos as well. There's an Eskimo, and he's on holiday in Wales. He's driving around, he's rented a car, he's checking the countryside out, and then his vehicle breaks down. So he calls up I suppose the Welsh version of the AA, probably called like or something. It probably looked like a British AA van, but just more spit on the windows. And yeah, so the mechanic gets out, he has a look around the vehicle and that, and starts to inspect the engine just to see what the problem is, why it broke down and everything. And then after a few minutes, he shuts the bonnet and goes over to the Eskimo and says, yeah, I found your problem, you've blown a seal. And the Eskimo says, so what, you lot shag sheep, what the fuck's that got to do with anything? Anyway, back to the game. Yeah, this P16, it was doing well for most of it. There's a few sections like here, I believe back a minute or so ago, it started to get bogged down and was wheel spinning a little bit. I don't really mind though, at least in this situation. I'm going up like a pretty rough road that's up a steep mountain. There's deepish snow considering the size of the P16. It's still not ideal, but yeah, I mean, there's situations like this where the all-wheel drive would be a nice option. This thing's still definitely like over the P12. It's the P12, if it had more power and everything, it'd probably be quite a nice truck to drive, because again, I like the fact that it's massive. Yeah, that's definitely what she said. But yeah, it's just, for whatever reason, this feels, and I thought the P12 would handle a lot better than this, because obviously being all-wheel drive, but yeah. The P16 is a bit of a beast, and again, get a goddamn horse of a vehicle on your back, and you can't go wrong. See, there as well, I believe, because especially that I'm going uphill, as I was trying to turn, I wasn't getting that much turning going on. It was probably not a whole lot of weight on the front wheels, but again, if they were actually powered themselves and were biting in and kind of pulling my front end around, then that'd help. I probably wouldn't have had to do a little reverse turn, but again, I mean, all things considered, I think for most of the vehicles, if I brought them doing this, I'd spend the vast majority of time just wheel spinning in first gear. I know this probably isn't that much different, at least, well, this one is in like the special, advanced, special kind of area of gearboxes. I'm surprised they didn't add the, you know, you got like the multi-purpose for the new, well, not the new clubs, but they've got the new multi-purpose for them. I'm surprised they didn't add that as an option for, again, like this thing, pretty much everything that's can have the special versus advanced special. Although, if I'm on it, I still don't find a lot of use. For me personally, with the club, particularly the flat face one at the minute, because that's got diffs always on, yeah, I quite prefer just leaving the advanced special on. I've tried that multi-purpose out, and it might slightly favour the auto part of that gearbox, but yeah, it's sacrificing a high gear and all the low range, or the low range options is it's too much to let go. So yeah, that's another one on the list for mods. But at least I suppose one good thing about this update, I particularly do like the being able to pack vehicles on the trailers, although I do think by now though, that being the case, you know, stuff like the Tatrin can't have any trailers. I think they should at least let you have some kind of trailer so you could pack the thing yourself, because if I wanted to, the Tatrin would be a pretty good vehicle for towing another truck behind you. It'd kind of like make quite a lot of sense, because it's got a lot of tyres, plenty of off-road grip and all the rest of it. But yeah, I believe I'd have to get like another vehicle, attach the trailer to that vehicle, load the vehicle onto the trailer, which again the cranes could do with a boost. Then I'd have to pack the vehicle, and then I assume disconnect the trailer, reverse the Tatrin up to it, and then attach the winch and do it that way, which is a bit long-winded. Like, for most situations, yeah, I mean, even again with the twin steering and stuff, it'd be pretty cool if that could have, obviously it's not going to have like the big semi-trailers that have got like the saddle high and saddle low stuff, but yeah, the ones with like a kind of like this thing should just be made available to everything by now, and yeah, it's just one way that transporting the vehicles will be a little bit less convoluted. This truck, by the way, I just rammed a pretty big tree out the way it was laying across the ground. They've been catching quite a lot of my vehicles recently. This thing motored over them pretty nice. It's certainly tall enough, got pretty decent ground clearance. But anyway, that's another mission down, another one bites the dust. It's about 650 XP, so not too bad for what I had to do. Yeah, I want to do the trials soon, I just need a nice run at it. But anyway, that's about it for today though. I hope you enjoyed, I hope that helps. Thanks for watching, get yourself a goddamn professional, and I'll be back soon.